All right, settle down. Your ate is speaking. You think because you booked a ticket to Manila, you've escaped the game? You think you've stepped into paradise? Let me tell you something, Kuya. The dating scene here isn't a vacation. It's the most brutal, high stakes market on earth, and you just walked in with a bullseye painted on your back. You've been warned. What I'm about to give you isn't a love story, it's a field manual, the rules for survival. So open your ears because the tuition in this school is non refundable. You're what, 40, 50, maybe 60? Coming here after a nasty divorce, a life of quiet desperation back west. You have some savings, a pension, but it's not infinite. Your time is even more precious. You're looking for a warm smile, a soft touch, a woman who actually appreciates a man. You think you're making a simple trade, your resources for a second shot at life. What you're actually doing is pushing all your chips onto the table in a poker game where you can't even read the cards. Pay attention. Every expensive dinner, every trip to the mall, every promise whispered back to you, that's a bet. You think it's an investment in a future, but you're just paying to stay in the game for one more hand. And the stakes aren't just your money, they're your time, your self respect, your sanity. The most dangerous part is your own hope. It's the blind spot they will exploit until you're left with nothing but an empty condo and a story no one back home will ever understand. This isn't a friendly game. Your opponent, she's been playing since she was a little girl. She knows you're lonely. She knows you crave validation more than you crave sex. She knows you've been trained to believe that your effort, your performance, should be rewarded with loyalty. You're sitting there trying to bluff with your provider status, completely oblivious to the fact that she knows the five cards you're about to be dealt. She's not just playing her hand, she owns the entire casino. How do I know? Anak nang, I've seen it 1,000 times. I've seen men like you, good men, get chewed up and spat out by this city. My authority doesn't come from a university. It's written in the cautionary tales I hear from my cousins, my friends, the girls at the salon. I'm giving you the enemy's playbook because I'm tired of watching lambs wander into the slaughterhouse, thinking it's a petting zoo. I'm telling you that you are fundamentally misreading the entire situation. So you need to make a choice, right now, before you send that next "How are you" message. You need to decide what you're actually here for, and you need to be brutally honest with yourself before you can even begin to navigate the landscape. The rules I'm about to give you are not about finding a soulmate. They are about not losing the war on your first day. So I'm asking you, and you better have an answer. Are you playing for love, for sex, or for survival? Alright, let's get tactical. Mistake number 1. You think you're the only ship in the harbor. Look around you, Kuya. The bars in Makati, the cafes in BGC. They're crawling with guys just like you, with the same retirement plan and the same hopeful look in their eyes. You're not in a romance. You're in a silent, desperate auction against 100 other lonely foreign men. You're all bidding with your time and your bank account for the same price, driving the price up until one of you wins the privilege of being drained first. This isn't a theory. I had a cousin who was juggling 3 guys, a German, an Aussie, and an American we'll call Steve. Each one thought he was the hero building her a new life. Steve was buying her a condo, the German was paying for business school, and the Aussie sent a monthly allowance. They were her financial portfolio, not her boyfriend's. When Steve found out, he wasn't just broke, he was humiliated. He hadn't even been the main event. He was just Tuesday's income stream, a flank, easily routed. Mistake number 2. You perform for validation. You treat every interaction like an audition. You work so hard to be the perfect gentleman, the generous provider, the tireless lover, hoping she'll give you a passing grade. But she isn't a judge, she's an intelligence officer. Your desperate need to please is a glaring weakness, a signal that you have no core. You're broadcasting your flank vulnerability. Every, "Was that good for you?" is you handing her a map to your own command center, showing her exactly where to strike. And that leads to the most predictable ambush of all. Mistake number 3. Falling for the emergency. Suddenly, her mother has dengue, her brother's tuition is late, or her phone was snatched. It's the oldest trap in the jungle, and you walk right into it. Why? Because you're desperate to be her hero. Your provider instinct is a trigger she can pull anytime. I knew a guy who funded 3 separate family emergencies in 1 month. He wasn't a savior, he was the entire village's emergency fund. He was a target of opportunity. So let's recap the battlefield basics. You are not unique, your neediness is a weapon used against you, and your hero complex is the trigger for your own financial execution. You're fighting a multi front war, leaking intel and resources before you've even seen the real enemy. But these are just the skirmishes, the rookie mistakes that cost you a few $1,000s and some pride. The next mistake, that's the one that gets your name on a blacklist. It destroys your wallet, your reputation, and your will to fight. This brings us to mistake number 4, and it's a subtle poison. You start managing her social life. You see a message pop up on her phone from another guy, and you feel that hot spike of jealousy. You ask who it is. You get possessive. You think you're protecting your territory. What you're actually doing is failing her loyalty test, and you're failing it spectacularly. She isn't testing his advances, she is testing your reaction. She wants to see how easily you can be controlled by your fear. Your jealousy is the most reliable tool she has for measuring your weakness. It tells her exactly how invested you are, how much you fear losing her, and therefore, how much more she can demand from you. You're not the captain of the ship steering a course. You're the taxi driver white-knuckling the steering wheel in traffic, terrified she'll get out and hail another cab. Your possessiveness doesn't read as passion, Kuya. It reads as desperation. It's a bright flashing sign that says, "My frame is weak, please come exploit it." Which leads directly to mistake number 5. You start making down payments on a future that doesn't exist. She whispers about our little sari store or our piece of land in the province. Your heart swells. You think, finally, a shared dream. So you give her the startup capital. You're not an investor, you're a ghostwriter for a fantasy novel she's telling you. The only thing you're building is her exit plan. Every peso you send is a brick in the road that leads her away from you. This is the core of the captain versus taxi driver dynamic. The taxi driver is paid to take the passenger to a destination the passenger chooses. His entire value is based on the service of the ride. But the captain? The captain owns the ship and sets the destination himself. Passengers are either on board with his mission or they can get off at the next port. You have been acting like a taxi driver for hire, hoping for a 5-star review, when you should have been the captain from the very beginning. You have to understand, these mistakes are all symptoms of one root disease. You are negotiating with hope. You are so desperate for the illusion to be real that you pay to maintain it. You fund the emergencies. You react to the jealousy tests. You buy into the future faking because the alternative, admitting you are being played, is too painful. But the moment you stop trading your resources for a feeling is the moment the entire power dynamic shifts. The game changes when you stop negotiating with hope and start dictating the terms of reality. So, you've stopped the bleeding. You've identified the enemy's tactics. Now, you stop being a casualty and start being a threat. The phase of emotional reaction is over. From now on, you operate with a system, a cold protocol that separates your mission from your feelings. You wouldn't fly a plane without a pre-flight checklist. So why are you betting your entire life on a relationship you haven't inspected? This is the pivot. We are switching from diagnosis to a framework of action. You are no longer the patient, you are the surgeon. Here's your new reality. It's called the runway rule. Think of an airport. You are the plane, a high-value asset with a mission, a destination, and fuel limits. She is the runway. The runway is always there, always available, waiting for something to happen to it. You, the plane, are the event. You decide when to land, when to refuel, and when to take off. Her purpose is to serve your flight plan. You have been acting like a runway, just hoping a plane will land on you. That ends now. Before any takeoff, before you invest more time, emotion, or money, you run a pre flight checklist. The questions are brutally simple, and the answers are binary yes or no. Does this interaction add to your peace or subtract from it? Is she an asset to your mission or a distraction from it? Does she contribute more than she consumes? There are no in betweens and no it's complicated. If the checklist item is not a clean yes, it's a hard no. You don't negotiate with a faulty engine. And if a check fails, if the answer is no, you abort. You don't ask the ground crew for an explanation. You don't get angry at the weather. You don't hope the engine noise stops on its own. You power down the aircraft, you taxi back to the hangar, and you cancel that flight path immediately and permanently. You are a pilot, not a mechanic. Your job is to fly the mission, not to fix a broken runway. The power to abort is the source of all your authority. This is the system. It's non negotiable. You are no longer reacting to her tests. You are running your own diagnostics. You're not hoping she's the one. You're verifying if she's even qualified for the flight. This framework replaces hope with data and fear with procedure. So listen up and you better be taking notes. In the next section, we are going to war. I'm giving you the live fire exercises to execute this in the field. You will learn to command the sky. Don't be late. Alright, welcome to the fire. You have the checklist, you have the mindset. Now the live rounds start flying. Think of this as a game of ping pong. She serves you a problem, a money request, a jealousy test, and you've been trained to frantically swing back, trying to return the shot. You lose the point before it even starts because you're always reacting, always off balance. From now on, you don't return the serve. You let it fly past you. You watch her. You hold your position. Your refusal to play is the winning shot. So, the bedroom door closes. The next morning, she sighs that her cousin needs money for medicine. The old you, the performer, would see this as a chance to prove his worth and pay up. The new you, the captain, looks at her calmly and says, "That's tough. I hope she figures it out." That's it. You don't swing. You just send the ball back to her side of the table without even touching it. Now watch. Does she get angry? Does she withdraw? Her reaction is pure intelligence. Then comes the next serve. A text accidentally flashes on her screen from Steve, another foreigner. The taxi driver in you wants to swerve into a jealous rage and ask, "Who is that?" The pilot in you sees a failed pre-flight check. You don't get angry. You get quiet. You get distant. You become scarce. Your mission requires a secure runway, and this one just failed inspection. You just aborted the flight. You didn't give her the satisfaction of a fight. You gave her the consequence of silence. The power difference is seismic. The final test. She withholds affection, hinting that your provider status is under review. The old you would panic, booking expensive dinners, desperate to perform your way back into her good graces. The new you, the bee on a mission, barely even notices. You are focused on your own purpose. Her nectar is a bonus, not the mission objective. When she realizes her greatest weapon, your need for her approval, is useless, the entire foundation of her strategy crumbles into dust. She is now the one who has to react to you. You see, you're not just returning serves anymore. You're forcing her to lunge and miss. Every time you refuse to react to her test, you are holding your position, and she is losing hers. The game stops being a frantic back and forth and becomes a calm, calculated execution of your frame. She is either on your mission or she is irrelevant. But all of this entire system of control, hinges on one final unbreakable law of physics that will determine whether you are the captain or just another passenger. And this is the final unbreakable law. It's the physics of the entire system. You are the bee She is the flower. The bee does not beg the flower for nectar. The bee does not perform for the flower. The bee is on a mission, driven by its own purpose, and it takes the nectar it requires to fuel that mission. Her access to you is a consequence of your mission, not the goal of it. If the flower has no nectar, the bee does not get angry. It simply flies to another one. So let's put it all together. You are the captain, not the taxi driver. You are the plane, not the runway. You are the bee, not the gardener. You stop performing for validation and you start operating on your mission. You don't return every serve. You let the bad ones fly past and watch her lose her balance. You replace your hope with a checklist and your fear with a procedure. Your presence in her life is the prize, and intimacy is just the audit to see if she still deserves it. Remember, the bedroom isn't the finish line, it's the final inspection. Your performance isn't graded on passion, it's graded on leverage. You've been given the playbook. You know the rules of engagement. Now I want to know yours. What is the rule zero every man needs to know before he even steps foot in this city? Put your intel in the comments below. Let's build the field manual for the men who are coming after you. This is the War Council, and your debriefing is mandatory. For the guys who are serious about funding these intelligence briefings, you know what to do. Hit the super thanks, drop a tip in the PayPal. That's how you keep this channel operational. Subscribe so you never end up on the wrong side of the ledger again. For the next 24 hours, your only job is to review your assets and cut one liability. You know which one it is. Stay sharp. Go make her earn it.